подло вас оставить. Yeah, sure, of course. They're meant to.
So these are the tickets.
Yeah, just show them the answer.
So the details about the social event are on the website, how to get there and when it is. We still have like 5 tickets for those who enter. If you want to go to the beering party in the evening and you want a ticket, I have like 5 of them left.
Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Maybe this work better? Mic check.
Yeah, it's pretty sensitive.
Okay, let's start.
Okay.
Probably. At 6. We can start, like 40 seconds. Okay. Okay, so let's start the lightning talks. One last announcement, there was like 4 more entry tickets to the party in the evening. And yeah, our next speaker, Nalin, will tell us something. I don't want to mess up your name, so.
That's fine.
So, welcome.
Okay, if people have difficulty hearing me in the back, just raise your hand or something. Remind me to raise the volume when I do. Okay, so I'm here to talk about building Docker container images without using Dockerd, or in fact, at this point, using Docker files, because we're talking about some really brand new code here. If you've been building container images for a while, you've noticed that they're essentially going to be composed of multiple tarballs, well, 1 or more, each one representing a single layer in your image build model, and then some metadata describing what order they're applied in to create the root file system of the image, and then, for a container that's based on that image. So when we started working on CRIO, one of the things that's explicitly out of scope for CRIO is building container images. So earlier this week, we were throwing ideas around on what would a tool that did that for the CRIO ecosystem look like? So naturally, it would use the same libraries that CRIO was using for storing images and storing containers, working containers that are being used to build an image. It would probably use the image library to pull things down and write them to destination locations. So we started putting something together. And the tool, which as of right now is probably about 73 hours old, is called Builda, because those of you who've met Dan know that he refers to Docker as Daka. And it's had a couple of other names, and they all failed the Urban Dictionary test. So this is what we're at now. It may move. It's probably not going to stay in my personal repository forever. But essentially, it's a command line tool that has a couple of subcommands in it, one of which is from, which vaguely implements from, one of which is commit, which vaguely implements commit, and mounting and unmounting. And then between those things, you can screw around with the root file system, extract your changes into a new image, and maybe build another container out of it. And as of this morning, the code actually works. So the rest of this talk is essentially we get to watch a shell script running the commands, building a sample image, writing it back to the storage that OCID is using, verifying that you can see it in OCID, and then maybe building another container image on top of that. So without further ado, actually, do I take questions now? Or, okay. Everyone clear so far, though? All right. Let's see. Yeah. So this is not a very smart script. It's just restarting OCID. Did I just kill it already? Okay. Now, this is just me checking that we got a couple of images. I have previously pulled down Fedora and Ubuntu images because I don't want to fight with all of you for Wi-Fi right now. Creating a working container. This is it invoking the builda command, telling it the name of the source image, and that just prints out the name of the working container. It has a mount command, which can mount it, and it prints the location where it's been mounted. That var lib containers overlay is an actual live root file system. We're going to add a file. Basically, we're just going to echo to create a very small file into the mount point. Then we're going to use the commit command to actually commit it, and I think that's running right now. It's going to take a little while. What it's essentially doing is extracting all of the image layers for the original image, extracting the contents of the changes that we made, which is just adding one file, storing them all in a temporary directory, and using the image library that Scopio uses to copy it back into the destination. And in this case, I've told it to copy it right back into the image storage that we're using in OCID. So the next thing I can do is ask OCID, which has been running the whole time, hey, what's there? And the third place, and we can see that there's now a third image, which is the new image that I just created. Now, I'm going to unmount it and delete it, which is fine because we don't need it anymore. And now we'll try it without OCID. I'm going to stop it. Yeah, let's go ahead and use that image we just created. We just created a new image using, sorry, we just created a new working container using the image that we just created like 30 seconds ago. Now we're mounting it. We're going to check that that file is there. We added it. Yes, it has contents, so the image was correctly added to the previous image. We're adding another file, but we're not going to really test anything about that. We're going to get this to yet another image name. And once again, we're extracting all the layers into a temporary directory and then importing them right back into image storage. And I was hoping this would run a little bit faster because I didn't have a lot more to say in that sentence. OK, now let's unmount it and delete it. And we can actually start OCID and ask it. And now we have 4 images. And now clean up because I ran this script like 50 times while I was testing it earlier today. That is the end of the demo. And this code is in GitHub right now. And it's probably going to move, so don't depend on it staying where it is or having the same name because it's early days yet, literally. Any questions? Looks like I have 5 minutes left.
You have to have the Docker daemon running?
No. In fact, I believe it's not been running the whole time. Oh, that's not helpful. Oh, sorry, repeat the question. Dan was asking, do I need to have the Docker daemon running at any point during this? And the answer is no, because it's using the same infrastructure that OCID uses, and OCID does not have a runtime dependency on Docker either. It's, in fact, using the same libraries that we use to build OCID. Yeah. It's not running on my system, and I actually forgot to check on that, so thanks for reminding me, Dan. Anyone else? Yes? Any destination that Scopio knows how to write to, we can specify as the output location when we commit the image. In earlier testing, I was using the directory output where Scopio just dumps everything into a directory, tarballs and all. In this case, I was dumping them back into the image storage that OCID is using. Those are both available. And someone else had their hand up. Yes? Great.
Are you retaining the layers?
Question is, am I retaining the layers? Currently, we're retaining all the layers from the original image plus the one for the working container that you've made all your changes in. There is currently no facility for doing multiple layers from the original image between that and the point where you tag a new image because I hadn't written it yet. It's really new code. OK, Antonio, you had your hand up. Oh, yeah, it's actually, it's github.com/nullnd/builda, which again will probably change at some point, but hopefully there will be a pointer there that'll tell you where it went. Yes? Yes? Yes, it is a Go app because it's built using Go libraries, and as Dan mentioned, I think in an earlier talk, that's what all the cool kids are using these days. Anyone else? Wave your hand if I'm not seeing you. OK, thanks very much.
OK, thanks, Nalin. That was a really nice lightning talk, even faster than expected. OK. And we still have a few entry tickets to the social event on the table there, if somebody wants to attend and drink beer. Please come pick them up, or I can deliver them.
Huh? Oh, fine.
Okay, wait. So without further ado, let's welcome Tim for his lightning talk. So Tim, welcome.
All right, so one of the questions I've gotten quite a bit over the last couple of days is, so what is Fedora doing for CI? Are you guys doing anything? So I figured, maybe it's time to do a lightning talk. So getting started, defining, and I purposely put that in quotes, microservices, because what we have isn't, they're probably more like mini services, but I think it's close enough, and it's a buzzword. So we basically have separate services for different concerns. There's a system that's only handling results. There's a system that's only responsible for listening for fed messages and triggering the different tests in response to things that go on in Fedora. So we can change the things around at will as long as the interface is behaved. So then you can ask the question, well, is there CI in Fedora? And I'm going to answer that with a question. What is CI? And in the context of what I'm talking about here is a job, generally for testing, spun up in response to an event within Fedora, usually a completed build. Wow, I have duplicated slides. So in that case, yes, we do have CI in Fedora. So the way that it would generally work is we have a build. Once that build is done, there are things that are run on every build in Fedora that stores results in a place that anything can query. And then there's the question of, are there specific tasks? We do support having different tests for an individual package and for different modules. And if those are there, they get run, and if not, the robot cries because his heart is broken. So now a demo. And this is going to be on the wrong screen. So this is showing off some of the new. That is not what it's supposed to look like. No, not really. All right, so there's. All right, so this is just bringing up the Docker containers because this is, so this is our new interface, or will be our new interface. So basically this is running RPM grill on libtaskatron. Right now it's not actually running, but it's telling you that it is scheduled to run soon. It's queued up. Most of this process is going to be familiar, but it goes through as it's doing the steps, cleaning things up. All tasks that we run, all tests that we run in this CI system are whole Git repositories that the author has control over. So cloning the repository, running the test suite, which I kind of wish was faster because we're all standing here, but almost done. You just have to ruin my fantasies, don't you, Adam? All right, so then it goes through, and at the end of these, we do store and we do host all artifacts. So if it produces log files, if it produces just about anything, we save that. This is another part, which is what we're calling a dashboard. So you can see right here, this is the thing. Well, I know that that one just happens to be the one that that just passed, but really, really. Let's see if this gets any better. I have screenshots. All right, so then here we have two of these in the same update. You can click on any of these to then get to the logs. And that ends quickly, so that's exactly why. OK. We can go through the demo highlights. So this is that interface I was talking about before, where this just happens to be the first one that's listed. And we can see that the thing that just went through, it passed. We can do searching here, and these two failed, but this one did pass. And because it's an update, there's multiple packages in it. This one's been fine. This one, you might want to look at it. So let's click on that and actually get the logs. Wrong button. The logs from this. And these are taken directly from the system that runs it. So basically, if you want to get started, come find us. Either come find me, come find Martin, either in person or in Fedora QA on Freenode. That's our mailing list, and I'm doing a talk tomorrow at 3 o'clock if you want to see more of the direction that we're going in Fedora. So in end, don't make the robot cry. We want happy robots. Questions?
Why did we demo the Bodhi interaction, but you don't have it set up there?
Because there are only 10 minutes, and I don't want to do live demos with network components.
But we have Bodhi interaction. Your updates will get all this information.
Yeah, so what he is pointing out is that Bodhi, the update system in Fedora, will also query our same result system. So if you add tests for your package, it will show up in Bodhi in the page that's for your update. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Is there any way for people maintaining the package to add tests?
The question was, is there a way for someone who's not the maintainer to add tests? And the answer is yes, but you need to talk to the maintainers. The way that we have things set up, the default way to put things in, the test can change how the package is gated in the future, so they kind of need to know that. But if you're adding something separate, as long as it's in a separate Git repository, yes, you can just come find us, and we'll help you get that added. Other questions? OK, well, thank you very much.
One, two, three. Cool. Shall we start? Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll give someone more time. So hello, everyone. My name is Stanislav. I've been a part of DevOps automation in Brno for a while. But about 1 year ago, I was the only person here in Brno. Right now, there's, I think, 14 of us. So we've grown a lot. And we have growing pains because part of those 14 people are interns or part-timers or people who just finished school. And they don't necessarily come with a lot of experience with Git and the whole thing that goes together with it, especially code reviews. And so it was happening quite a bit that when I was reviewing their code, and I was like, well, this looks mostly fine, but can you please just split this commit into two? And I saw the fear in their eyes, like, oh my God, I barely know how to do git commit add and maybe some other things, but like, how do I split a commit? And so the Git documentation is great, and there's a lot of literature and Git book and all the good stuff, I'm sure. But what I was missing was a way to give them hands-on experience with more than just Git init and Git add and very basic stuff. So how many of you have seen, try GitHub IO? How many of you have tried it? I see 1, 2, well, very few hands. So I'm not going to go over this. You can go have a look. So it's an interactive web interface which tells you like run git init and it will do something and it explains things. And it's very nice, but it barely covers the basics. It covers, like I said, git add and git commit and git push and a couple other git merge. But it doesn't really cover, OK, how do you split a commit into two? Or how do you add just a part of a file and not the whole file if you were coding and you forgot to commit, and then you realize hey, actually, I want to commit in 2 commits. And so what I came up with is an extension or continuation, I guess, of the try GitHub IO, which looks something like this. So I have a Git repo on GitHub with modules, so separate Git repos for different tasks. And I'm going to actually go and run through one of them, which I was just mentioning, splitting a commit. So when you go into this repo and you read the README, it will give you a task. And the task is, your task is to split the latest commit into 2 smaller commits, one for each method that was added. So this is our latest commit. We added square and print square methods. So let's see how would we split it up. I'm going to quickly go through it. So I'm going to git reset mixed and to previous run, right? So that gives me those changes reverted and just in the current directory. So I'm going to add one of them with git add -p. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but you can split this and it just, OK, I just want to add. So I did S a split, and then I'm staging just the first hunk and quitting. With this, I know that I have only this in the index, only the first method, so I'm going to commit it. Add square. And that leaves just the last part, so I'm just going to go git commit all add print square. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that should be it, right? So each of these repos has a solution branch with, which tries to show how things could be done. Actually, there is each repo also has a README file that describes how to get the solution. It should be all the same for, so just git show solution. We'll show you the solution, which is just like this comment on the solution branch. I'm not necessarily saying this is the only way to do things, but my idea is right now there's 3 examples. I have a bunch of issues that I filed for myself in GitHub with ideas of additional things that could be added. Yes? Oh, sure. I can make it bigger.
Thank you.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Cool. So I have currently 3 tasks committed, made, tested, seemed working. I would like to add more. And this is my way of inviting other people to contribute, see if you can maybe add your own if you think this is worth it. And maybe I wouldn't mind putting this in a web app, similar to try GitHub.io, but I'm not a web developer. And I don't want to start doing those things because it would be a disaster for everybody involved. But that's it from my end. Any questions? Yeah. So where is it? So the question was, where is it on GitHub? So the GitHub address for this is GitHub.io, my name, and /git challenges. I'm not sure that's going to load. There's not enough people now, so it's there. I don't know, try and figure out. I can zoom it. So, like I said, I created 5 issues for myself to keep track of some more ideas like rebases, and I really like, for example, that you can do git add -p and then e, which opens up an editor, and you can selectively basically pick line by line whether you want to add it. And so there's an example for that as well. But there's merging and rebasing and all kinds of things. Some of the examples, not this one, but some of the examples do require some setup. I haven't figured out a good way to do it, so I have an instruction like, please, before you begin, do git reset something, so that I can get the repo in a specific state, so they can try something, or that makes a requirement on them. But that's it. Any other question? OK. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. Let's. Yeah. We'll start in a minute.
Yeah. So I guess everybody can hear me. So now I have to stop being stupid and start presenting. So welcome to my talk called Fixing Community Infrastructure Security, a Modest Proposal, which is a long title. So for people who do not know me, my name is Michael Scherer. I'm a system administrator at Red Hat, and I'm working in the open source and standard team. And I'm not going to spend too much time on me because it's a lightning talk, it's supposed to be fast. And people may have seen me last year at that conference speaking about the curious case of the Gloucester.org shell server that got compromised. To remind people, it was quite bad. Someone coming from a country not far away managed to get the root access on one old server. That old server had a /home shared on NFS with SSH key, with EC2 credential, GPG key, SSH key connecting to the root account of other server and apache.org. And it happened 1 week after the other curious case of the safe.com Kcynic server that got compromised for the same reason, like old crappy server, no security, etc., etc. And, well, I found that this happened quite often. So just for people to estimate, since 2000, how many of such accidents did happen on whatever community you can think of. And I'm ready to offer one lunch to who get the exact number. So please give a lunch tomorrow because I do get a ticket and I didn't spend them, not too much. 53? Yeah? None? No, that's not. Well, I know because I did the count. I mean,
That's only the ones we know. Because the incidents, yes, so we know.
no. So far I found that much. It depends how much you count. I do have a list that I plan to publish. And the problem is too often this leads to Backdoor. I don't know if people remember, but there was some issue with the Linux kernel, some issue with IRC, which are business critical for me. Some issue with FreeBSD, with Debian, with Ubuntu, with SUSE, with Red Hat, with Fedora, with Ceph, with Gloucester, with Piwik, with MySQL, with PHP.NET, with Ruby, well, basically everybody. And so when it started, when we discovered the security incident, it went up to the management chain. We said, this is not normal, someone needs to fix it. What about the guys that found in the first place? So I'm trying to fix that. And for that, we started by what big companies do, starting a working group. And for that working group, we have a simple 3-step process. Well, the first step is to discover what is going on and try to get a list of everything going on. Why do people are not doing properly security? Is it too complicated? Is there not enough guide, not enough time? Can we help them? So we are still not sure of the second step. That requires to get something on the first step. And we are quite sure that for the third step, it will be profit. And for now, we are still on the second step, and I'm here to requesting your help. I need to find all people who are doing system administration for free software infrastructure, be it for website, CI system, download server, and everything. And I managed to get with a catchy slogan, which seems to be inspired by the Department of Homeland Security. So if you sysadmin, say something. So for that, I just want you to come and contact me. So it's quite easy. If you have a Twitter account, you do not use it. If you have a Facebook account, you do not use it because I'm not using that. If you want to contact me by LinkedIn, please do not do that. I get enough spam for them. You can send me an email at misk@redhat.com. I usually answer to that email, unlike my personal emails that I never check. So sorry if you are an Nigerian prince trying to give me money, do not check that. You can also ping me as a Misk on whatever IRC channel you can find. You will be surprised to see how often I get there. Or you can just look tomorrow for me. You just check for someone who has a blue and purple hair and with the not gen trigger. So that would be me. And if you have any question or any suggestion for that, I'm open to all questions. I think we still have 5 minutes for that. Unless if the question is you should write a security guide, because that's everybody told me. And the problem is not to write more documentation, is to get people to read that. So just to answer preventively to the question. And that's it. Thanks for coming. And I have also 2 other presentations tomorrow with more fun, more interesting stuff, and likely more slides, because it's 20 minutes. And thanks.
Where is Doug? Where is Doug?
What?
Where is Mark?
Oh, I think he's still in the, yeah, at the other's booth. So no question, like how do you manage to be so fabulous during a lightning talk, anything? You can ask whatever you want. No? Okay, thanks for listening to me. Bye.
Do you guys want to start? Okay, awesome. First of all, thank you for being here. I actually really appreciate it. I also want to thank the only voter who actually voted for this talk. I don't know who you are. It wasn't my colleague. I actually asked him to vote. I promise you to be cool. I don't know what name to give this conference. I mean, to the talk, sorry. I thought about saying something like running browsers in Docker or distributing, browsers, running them. I mean, there's so many, I don't know. I honestly don't know what exactly to tell you, because this is a big topic, testing in general, running Selenium also. Who of you actually used Selenium before, so they know what Selenium actually is? Okay, who of you abandoned Selenium at some point in life? Okay, one guy. Someone thinking still, maybe? The thing is, Selenium is actually a great testing API. The only problem is when you actually try to roll it in production, you tend to run into inconsistencies. So for example, to actually run a browser, you have a library, which is for a specific language, let's say, I don't know, Python or Java. And you also have to have a binary driver, which would actually do the talking with the actual browser. Now, any of these can actually go out of sync. So you can have, for example, the library version mismatching with the binary driver, or the browser mismatching. And here's where the fun starts, because from this moment on, you have to just maintain that infrastructure. Not only the API is not exactly user-friendly, but also all the infrastructure actually adds a lot of weight on people. And I created Germanium because I actually have a tester in my team, which I kid you not, this is all true, which is 63, this guy. Now, this guy, he doesn't actually uses, I don't know if you know, for example, if you want to do in a browser something like control-click, right? You would have to, in the land of Selenium, start a composite action, and you would first press down control. then you would actually send a click, and then you would release control. Now, this might sound funny, but when you actually have to type it, everything, and you have to create an action chain, and then you have to pull in there, like, control down. This is actually in a constant classes. You have to put control and whatever, and then you click, and then you release it. It gets less interesting. It's not exactly as fun anymore when you have to write actual tests, which you actually want to test just the website if it functions. So in order to do that, I decided I will create an API, which would be simple for my guy to use. And, oops, okay. The idea would be something like this. I want to be able to just open browser, and I say there what browser I want to open, and I go to a page, and then I do some asserts, like I know the title is Germanium, and then I click a link, and I do some other stuff, like I'm waiting for the page to load, and I'm waiting then for the actual text to be there. Okay? So this is the API. It's the first step in getting the testing easier. If you notice in here, there isn't any CSS or XPath locator of any sort, And for the most part, I tried to get rid of them. I actually, one second. Okay. I actually wrote a script. This is my script in here on how I'm filling my timesheets. This is not a joke. This is what I'm actually using. We have to fill in timesheets every month. So what I'm doing actually is I'm just getting the event viewer, the events from Windows, export them to CSV. I create a shell script and actually iterate over it. But again, the key thing is this one actually runs on Outlook, right? So in order to do that, if you notice, there is no locators. You don't see XPath, you don't see CSS. What you see, though, is I'm clicking an input, which is right off a text, right? What happens if this text is multiple times? Well, it will only find that input, which is actually right of it. Okay, it doesn't randomly filter everything which is right. It actually also does matching on width and height and so on and so forth. And these are complexities which you don't have to think about it. If you would actually do a CSS locator, actually you cannot find text with CSS. If you would do an XPath locator in the world of Selenium, you would actually find all the text, even with the ones which are not visible on the page, right? And these ones, they actually automatically filter. The same story goes with type keys. If you notice in there, there's a type keys, Control-A, delete, and then I'm actually been using some Python formatting and throwing some other stuff into an input which is right of the text and time, right? And why is that? It's because I want to press Control-A and delete wherever it's in there. It's that simple. If you would have to do that in any other API, you would have to send some enums for some sort, for no good reason. I don't know. I wouldn't like it. Honestly, I wouldn't like it. So I decided it's going to be the simplest API I can possibly imagine, and the most work it should be actually done in the API itself. Okay, so this is the first thing. This is the first part with the API, with finding elements and so on. There's a lot of things. This is a long project. It's over 1 year I'm developing it. There's a lot of documentation on the site as well. This is all the actions, drag and drop, so on and so forth. All the actions and all the ways of selecting elements, blah, they're documented in there. Now, let's get to the next part. The next part is managing infrastructure. We already discussed. The first topic would be kind of, okay, how I'm writing the test simpler, so I don't lose my mind. The second one is, how can I manage my infrastructure? On one hand, I decided to create 2 versions, for Python and for Java, which would actually do the driver management by default. So I don't have to download binary drivers. Okay, I actually package them in a package, and then you can just do, for example, in Python, you can just do pip install Germanium. It's actually my package. And then you can do the following thing. You can actually just do pip install, and then I did the import before. Open browser, and then we write Chrome. And this will actually open Chrome on my machine. The driver is already packaged into a separate thing, so I can do then action like go to wherever, Google. Oops, sorry, Google. Some stuff will go down. Sorry, too late. Okay. And then I can actually shut it down. Close browser. Now, This is all fine and dandy, but if you notice that the actual browser open on my desktop, right? If I actually want to do real serious testing, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have browsers opening on my browser and they will like bloop, bloop, bloop. I can't use the computer, you know? So we live in this wonderful world of containers. Now, Selenium has a project called Selenium Hub. Selenium Grid, actually, it's the project name. The idea is, what if you can provision some containers which would actually run the browsers in a container, right? Makes sense, no? You can just run it in there independently. So I created some Docker containers which would actually fire up the hub. There are also 2 Docker containers, one of them for Chrome, one of them for Firefox, which can actually run the browsers in there. So in order to do that, we will just start them. I have a script. It is also on the get page, whatever thing. So bin germanium run grid 2. This is published on the Docker Hub, the public thing. I'm actually first trying to destroy them. I'm not super attached on my containers, you know. And now what happens now, you see we had before only 2 containers, which is the Nexus and Jenkins. If we do now Docker PS, we have these other 3 containers, which is Firefox, Chrome, and the hub. And let's actually see them if they're available. We can actually connect. I have a VNC server in them, and we can connect to them. I'm using IceVM to actually have a sort of thing. Okay, so we open the Firefox. Firefox is an interesting thing because Firefox, for example, right now they have broken Selenium support. So having it pinned down in a Docker container with an older version even of Selenium actually makes it possible. It connects to the grid and we can access it. Otherwise, we would have to use the ESR support. Now, if we go to our grid, we see you have some stuff there running. It's actually configured to run up to 10 browsers, so on and so forth. And in order to open it, if we're back in our code, what we would do is we would open browser, and then we'll say Firefox. But I don't want a local Firefox, right? So what I do is I just prepend at the end the location to the hub, which is going to be on the, I think, VD hub, and it's port, sorry. Okay, now this one should open the browser using the hub, okay, which it actually did. But if you notice now, there is no browser open on my stuff. I still have the same commands as before. You know, I can still go to Google. Let's go to Google, or DevConf. It's wrong address, doesn't matter. Okay, and I ended somewhere, you know, wherever that is. And then I can actually, if it finishes, hopefully, Mr. Mandrit Martinez, whoever you are. Yeah, I won't see whatever's in there. Okay, now it's finished, and let's close it. Now, on purpose, I missed an elephant in the room. There is one browser missing in this story, if you notice so far, which is the best browser in the world, IE. Now, IE, it's very tough to actually automate, you know, because it needs focus and it needs a bunch of stuff. The good thing is Microsoft offers virtual machines. And on the website called modern.ie, you can download virtual machines. And what I have in here, magically enough, it's a virtual machine, more or less pristine from the good guys at Microsoft. The thing is, I also made another thing in there, which is helping me to provision these machines. This is also on the page forever, written in Python, everything. Everything is open source and Apache licensed. So, you know, I'm not selling you now afterwards, you know, if you want Germanium, come. Let's talk, you know. So this is an open source project, all of it, all you see in here. And this tool in here, this actually will connect to the internet. You need to run it as an admin if you don't have Java, or it would be nice if you did run. Oh yeah, I rerun a build. This is a modified version which uses local, how do you call that? The local IP, so I'm not going over the internet. I just patch it. This is why it's called main. If I refresh it, actually this is deleted, or it's not, but I can't access it, whatever. And then this one actually asks questions. It actually checks your path and sees, okay, you have IE. Okay, fine. Do you want me to support IE? And then you would say, yeah. Actually, all the defaults, except one question, is you just press enter. If you press enter, you'll be yes, 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 okay, fine, whatever, no? And then, yeah. Where is the hub world? This is the question which you should actually type in, right? And then in here, if you type 122, wherever it was the address, I already have it configured, so it doesn't matter. It will ask you one last time, is this what you want to do? And if that is the case, it will start pulling Java for you if you don't have it installed. It actually detected I have it installed, and it's Java 8, so it's not going to do anything. It detects, for example, if you have Edge as well. I tested it actually only on IE and Edge. I don't provision Chrome and Firefox on these guys. You know, I mean, I'm not going to install a Windows virtual machine when I have Docker containers which can run my Firefox. I'm not going to do that. It's much easier to scale the Firefox and the Chrome ones. And at the end, it will even create, and this is not a joke, try it out. It will create a desktop shortcut. So the moment I double click this also creates the configuration and everything for the hub. So this is on the C drive by default in the Germanium folder. This is pretty hard-coded at this stage, but it's okay. And downloads the drivers in Selenium standalone and so on and so forth. And it creates a batch file, which now, which actually registers now my IE. Right? So in order to actually provision my whole Selenium grid, I need roughly, 10 minutes. With the downloading of the machines is actually what takes the most part, because I actually needed the thing to test it. And how this Germanium stuff itself gets tested. This is where we get into the interesting part. Germanium, in the project, I'm actually releasing a bunch of stuff simultaneously. I'm releasing the Germanium Docker image, which is the default one, which actually just has a Python, which you can instantiate the test inside of that machine. It also releases the grid and the APIs. Now, to test that stuff doesn't fall apart, I'm using pipelines in Jenkins. This is the Blue Ocean FYI interface, which looks much cooler, I have to admit. Now, for Python, for example, I'm actually compiling and building machines for Python 2.7, 3.4, and 3.5. Then I'm using Nexus to actually have my own Python package index, because I don't want to release the drivers, right, to the public, and then I realize, I screwed them up, they cannot run them, because something else is broken, right? So I test against it in this network, which is completely isolated. I see that, okay, everything passes through, all my Docker machines are running, and the moment I can say, yeah, okay, everything works, then I can publish, then I can tag it. That's basically it, honestly. This is kind of my whole presentation. The thing is, if you want to build tests reliably and knowing and having a peace of mind, all the APIs I'm not releasing until my tests pass. The API is a subset. If you want the WebDriver, you can just call get WebDriver, and you get the actual WebDriver instance, and you can do wherever. Maybe I don't offer you an API. I don't know. I'm not offering drag and drop files from desktop, for example. I plan to implement it, but I don't offer it right now. If you want to just upload a file with the file dialog, this is already working again, tested and whatnot. And you can still use it because Germanium is Selenium. That's it. Questions? No, don't. Not yet. Question? Yeah, shoot.
You've shown us that you have 10 Firefoxes, 10 Chromes, but you only work with one instance of Firefox and Chrome.
Yeah.
How do we propagate this to all the Firefoxes? For example, if we want to test at the same time all of them.
No, you don't test when you're creating your grid. You're basically saying something like this. I want an instance on Firefox. This is what you're telling your grid. My node is configured to support up to 10 nodes. 10 Firefox instances running on that node. That's what that configuration value, what you're seeing there. You always run only with one browser. You don't really, maybe it would be a good idea to implement, but that wouldn't be really a feature of Germanium itself, because you get into inconsistencies pretty fast. What if one of them fails? You still have 9 of them kind of passing, I don't know. This is what we're using it for. We have a very complicated JavaScript application with iframes, with whatnot. And we want to test it reliably across all these browsers. And we want to know, and I didn't delve into, but the selector stuff allows you to express objects without CSS selectors, which is very important for us. We don't want to get tied into whatever blind, then we refactor. We refactored a lot. Now we use the Yahoo UI. We're switching to Vue. I don't want any of the classes or bio specifics. A lot of people use constants. The big problem with constants, they are not reliable. How do you relate them to other elements in the page? right? If you have a constant, right, a CSS, whatever, how do you say it? Okay, this constant has to be in this other thing, but you can find it only with another element. You cannot do that. In Germanium, you have this idea of filters. Out of time.
Yeah. We can discuss at the party later.
Yeah. Thank you. That was it.
Thank you.
Welcome. Microphone.
Okay, everybody. So that's it for today. For some of you, see you later at the party. The others see you probably tomorrow. And yeah, thanks for attending. That's it.